You're headed to Boston during the Revolution to take in the atmosphere, to see the great statesmen speak and chat with some of the rebels. But instead you find yourself in the middle of a riot, with chaos in the streets and people running for cover. So how did this happen? It goes without saying that more people have rioted in Boston in the Revolutionary era than in any other major town in America. Yet Bostonians commit acts of public violence for a variety of reasons, and not all of them connected to British policies or occupying troops. The word riot is defined as 3 or more persons engaged in an act of public violence. Before the Revolution, the locals intimidated their enemies, or burned and destroyed their property, or caused general mayhem in protest of things that outraged them. Sometimes this was for good reason, such as when the Royal Navy forcibly impressed local men into the fleet in 1747 and again in 1768, resulting in mass protests. But sometimes the violence has had a more dubious purpose, such as attacking the building of central food markets, or threatening accused prostitutes, or vilifying those of the Catholic faith in the annual street gang battle known as Pope's Day. The most familiar riots have occurred since the 1760s, and have often been linked to radical patriot clubs like the Sons of Liberty, the Loyal Nine, Caucus Club, and Long Room Club. Some of the big names in these groups include Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, John Hancock, and Joseph Warren, though such men were always careful not to tarnish their reputations by being associated with the violence, even as they often played a role in planning it. First came the Stamp Act riots in 1765, in which the houses and property of royal officials were ransacked and destroyed to protest the parliamentary taxation of paper goods. Later acts included the Liberty Riot against Crown officials who accused Hancock of smuggling, riots that preceded the massacre of 1770, and the destruction of the tea 3 years later, in which Boston rebels dumped 342 chests of tea into the harbor on a cold December night. We'll be examining each of these events in more detail in later episodes, but there have been many less famous but no less eventful riots that have continued to shake the town even after the War of Independence began. In part 2 of this series, we'll look at how riots have shaped the Revolution and what to do if you find yourself in the middle of one. To learn more, check out my book, Boston 1776, A Rogue Tour of Revolution City, for all the information you'll need on violence in town and how to steer clear of it. You can also subscribe to my newsletter on my website or add a comment expressing your own thoughts on the issue, because riots are one of the key aspects that have made Boston the cornerstone of the American Revolution and prove that there's no other place like it then or now.